The article then talks about Jordan's only 28. He's played just 7 seasons. He's already logged 20,000 minutes, many under extreme duress as a high-flying acrobatic player. So that's a good point. They're pointing out that he's acrobatic. It's his style. He jumps high. He decelerates fast. He changes direction. You're going to be at a higher risk. Does that mean you're going to get injured? No. But you're going to be at a higher risk when you're putting more force in the ground, you're absorbing more force upon landing, and you're decelerating, and the more dynamic you are, the higher risk it is. Okay, and this is something that I've talked about a lot in previous posts about when I went back and studied players of the 70s. Well, because of shoes, because of rules, and because people just weren't that athletic in the 70s, sorry to say, in basketball, we weren't that athletic. Play style was very different. The feet were always under the shoulders. Occasionally, the feet would go outside the shoulders. But, in those shoes, if you go too far outside the shoulders, you're going to slip, right? And so these Kemba Walker type decels, these Michael Jordan type change of direction where the feet get really wide to create those good shin angles, those didn't really happen. It was very, very rare. I saw one person, and that was Nate Archibald, who would actually play with some decent shin angles and play in some wider stances. He had the best agility at the time. He did end up tearing his Achilles. But overall, if you go back, you watch like a Jerry West, legendary player, the movement skills were nowhere near where they would be today. The movement skills were similar to like a 3-and-D guy in today's game, where they're not expected to make really shifty moves. They're not expected to constantly be jumping. They're not a slasher. They're not a Kemba Walker, a Kyrie, constantly changing directions, pounding on the knees. So that's something that we talked about in the Devin Williams podcast. He was like, look, the best thing I can do for my knees is develop a shot. And so sometimes it is being able to switch up your play style to not take away from your dynamic abilities, but make it easier, right? I know a lot of guys who can dunk, and in games, they don't dunk. I know a lot of guys who can throw down really, really good, impressive dunks, and they just lay it up in games because they're like, 1, it's not worth my energy, and 2, it's not worth my knees. I would rather save my knees for defense instead of trying to go all out and do this dunk, right? So that's something that people got to keep in mind is play style really matters. Okay.